So how about that Pokemon Sword and Shield Direct, huh? Oh my god, it looked amazing. My favorite part was when they showed off the new bird Pokemon. It looks so cool. And oh man, that evil team. Oh, I love how they went for that theme. And the new gimmick for this generation, just, I cannot wait for them to abandon it once Gen 9 comes around. It's just so awesome. I can't even begin to describe it. Yes, I recorded this after the Direct aired. What are you talking about?
You know the drill. Sword and Shield is the first mainline console Pokemon game. Galar is themed after the UK. Grookey is the best starter based purely on starting evolutions. Female trainer is Scottish, yada yada yada. I'm not gonna repeat the same shtick everyone has said / should think about the games.
Disgusting!
What I am going to talk about is a feature I hope returns in Sword and Shield. In recent generations, Pokemon has had this trend of introducing a feature that enhances the game in an interesting way, plays a role in the story in some way, improving on it in later releases of that generation, and then ignoring it once the next generation starts and not touching it again. For example, Mega Evolutions were a huge part of the plot of X and Y. More of them were added in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then they were all but ignored in Gen 7.
They're literally gone now!
Despite all the hype and the big to-do Game Freak made of them, we haven't gotten any new Mega Evolutions since 2014.
And likely won't ever again.
Mega Evolutions were such a huge deal in Gen 6, as they shook up both the metagame and the franchise's image as a whole. While they weren't cut, seeing the bare minimum done when it came to Sun and Moon made it feel like they were just a gimmick.
God damn it, you are literally the most successful media franchise of all time. Act like it!
But I'm also not here to talk about Mega Evolutions. Rather, they are just the worst case of Game Freak coming up with a great idea that can be improved upon almost endlessly before dropping it like a small child with ADHD. There have been tons of features and additions that have been either ignored or removed throughout Pokemon's history that many love. Oftentimes, people cite these things as principal reasons why their favorite game in the franchise is their favorite game in the franchise. But there's one feature added in Gen 5 that few people talk about that was never brought back and likely won't come back until they remake Black and White. And no, I'm not talking about triple battles or rotation battles or the Dream World. I'm talking about the soundtrack. Generation 5 handles its music in a way no other generation does. It's dynamic. It can change. For instance, route music can change based on whether the player is walking or has come to a complete standstill. The music for towns and cities have different musical layers that are added to the town theme by talking to certain citizens. They even created a song for when you have low health, turning what was once a persistent noise into something more than just an annoying beep. And like they would with Mega Evolutions, they improved upon it later in the generation with Pokemon Black and White 2. Dynamic music is something that has been used in tons of different games to make the moment-to-moment tracks more exciting, interesting, and less repetitive. It can also cause certain moments to become more meaningful. For instance, Metal Gear Rising's famous Rules of Nature moment, as well as all the times you start to kick a boss's ass, are a result of what is known as horizontal dynamic music. The game knows you have entered a moment where you're supposed to be winning, so it changes the song from an instrumental version to a vocal one. It specifically kicks off with the vocal pop-off, leading to some of the most satisfying QTEs in history. Gen 5 does something similar with the low HP song. The game knows you have low health, so it changes the song to reflect this. However, the absolute king of dynamic music and using it to make moments gain a greater meaning is Nier Automata. Automata makes use of what is called vertical dynamic music, which Gen 5 also makes use of. Before I mention how the music in Gen 5 adds different layers to a song based on conditions like walking, standing still, or having talked with certain NPCs. That is called vertical dynamic music, and almost every track in Automata was created to make use of it. If you've played the game, you know just how emotionally moving the entire thing is, and a large reason for that is the music. The soundtrack is able to perfectly replicate the mood of the story by adding and removing different attributes of whatever song is currently playing. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what Nier does exactly, but I highly recommend checking out this video by Jake Boutineau called The Dynamic Music of Nier Automata. It's a great video with a criminally low amount of views. I'll put a link in the top right. As you've probably noticed, Gen 5 clearly makes use of both vertical and horizontal dynamic music. But there's one use of horizontal music in particular that I want brought back more than anything. I'm sure we've all seen something like this. It's one of the most important moments in a story. Whether it's the final battle or just a really important one doesn't matter. It's the final rush, the last push needed to win the day. The red stone of Aja is held up, causing the volcano to erupt and sending the perfect life form into space. Two old men fight atop a giant submarine, not for anything or anyone but themselves. Spirals in a 10-galaxy-tall mech continue to fight for the dreams of those that have fallen and for the hopes of those that will follow. And the gym leader throws out their final Pokemon. It's a trope used by both TV and video games, but it's one that never gets old. The last episode theme reprise, as TV Tropes calls it, is phenomenal, and Gen 5 made plenty of use of it during its 8 standard gym battles. While it's not the final boss of the game, gym leader battles are a major factor in the identity of mainline Pokemon games, and Gen 5's last Pokemon theme turned every one of them into a bigger event than it already was. Motifs are powerful things, and remixing the original Pokemon title theme into both Black and White and Black and White 2's last Pokemon themes makes every gym battle feel just as important as the champion fight at the end of each game. To me, dynamic music is a major reason why Black and White are my favorite games in the series and why Gen 5 is my favorite generation. It lends a greater sense of importance, adventure, and epicness to a formula we had seen so many times before. If there was any feature I wanted them to bring back in Sword and Shield, it would be this, as it only feels like they scratched the surface of what they could accomplish. Yes, there were issues such as the low HP song interrupting the various battle themes, but on the Nintendo Switch, I'm positive they could do it even better than before. Play with the ideas of horizontal and vertical dynamics some more, and I'm sure Game Freak can create something truly magical.
Anyway, this has been Jack's Back of Macca. I am Macca. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know down in the comments what feature from a past Pokemon game that you want back. Whether it be a bigger feature, like, I don't know, the Battle Frontier, or a smaller feature, like the sound design and the dynamic music that I talked about. Heck, it could even be something that's still around that you feel like isn't treated all that well, like Mega Evolutions. They haven't exactly done anything with that, and I don't know if they will do anything with it with Sword and Shield.
They won't!
You want to know my actual opinion on the Sword and Shield Direct? I was pleasantly surprised. The wild areas look really cool. The graphics do look good, though they could be a lot better. It still looks like a prettier version of a 3DS game. I wish the animations were, not as click into placey. Dynamax looks super gimmicky and like an instant win button, but as more and more has come out, I've become a lot more okay with it. You can only use it once per battle. It only lasts for 3 turns, and you can only use it in certain areas. So it seems like a more balanced version of Mega Evolutions. I hope that one leak that leaked Dynamax and all this stuff from 4chan that also leaked, it was like Gigantamax or something, I don't know. I hope Gigantamax is not a real thing because that's just Mega Evolutions, but big. I'm excited, I'm optimistic, I can't wait to see more. I'm not hugely excited like I acted like I was in the beginning of the video, but I am excited. But yeah, like I said before, leave a like, comment what feature you want back, subscribe for more, click the bell so you'll see next time I come out with something, and yeah. This has been Jack's Back of Macca, I am Macca, and I realize I already said all of this.